Andy Michelle coming to you live from the Seaport, brought to you by Chase. If you missed any of the first hour of our show, you can go back and listen to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts and hear all about Minnesota's win over Chicago, where Chicago goes from here. Atlanta beats the Raiders last night, 2 Monday Night Football games, as well as the legendary professional golfer that is now a musical performer, and which ESPN radio host's significant other has an issue with Pat Costello. All in the first hour of our show. Go back on the podcast wherever you get your podcast. All right, so Micah Parsons, Dallas Cowboys guys, had some interesting comments and, well, in response to Stephen Jones, right? So Stephen Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, one of the owners, spoke to NFL.com at the owners' meetings. He said, to me, it would be irresponsible if every year you don't look at the full body of work and the big picture of how those guys fit into the big picture of the team. And we want to think about our team in terms of the big picture going forward. And it was kind of all a conversation about the idea of could maybe possibly Micah Parsons get moved this offseason. Parsons responded, I understand how the business side goes. This is per The Athletic. There are no hard feelings in this business, whether I'm here or anywhere else. Obviously, I've stated that I want to be here, but at the end of the day, I understand the business side. I've put a lot of work in. I've played hard too. So obviously, if sides can't agree to those types of things, it happens like that. But I'm just happy to be here. I'm going to keep playing hard while I'm here. If I'm here for the next 5 to 6 years, I'm going to keep playing hard then too. Ain't nothing really going to make a difference. Micah is going to play hard. That is Micah Parsons on Micah Parsons. Are the Cowboys a Parsons extension away or a Parsons trade away from really competing for a title?
You don't get closer to winning a championship without Micah Parsons. You don't get closer to winning by trading him away. He is unbelievable when it comes to getting after the quarterback. Micah Parsons is one of the best pass rushers in the National Football League. This guy's been an all-pro each of the first 3 years, and even though he missed a quarter of the season due to injury, you are talking about him knocking on the door of being yet another double-digit sack campaign. There's no world in which I would move on from Micah Parsons. I mean, it's just incredible what he's been able to do for this team. The question will now come down to money in terms of how you make this work, because I think that's where Stephen Jones was alluding to contextualize his comments. He was talking about how their roster is top heavy in terms of the contracts that they've doled out. Paying Dak Prescott $60 million a year, paying CeeDee Lamb $34 million a year, having to deal with a potential Zach Martin extension or, if they wanted to have him back, having to deal with DeMarcus Lawrence, having a $20 million cap hit, Trey Diggs, so on and so forth. There are all of these guys that are making top of the market money for the Dallas Cowboys. And when you have a couple of those players injured, it makes it hard for your team to compete. And that's what they've been faced with this year. So I think that's the challenge that the Cowboys have from a roster construction standpoint moving forward. But I don't think the solve for that problem is by moving on or trading Micah Parsons because he wants, a market-setting deal as an edge rusher. I just don't see that.
Yeah, we talk about the Dallas Cowboys and their quest to win a Super Bowl. And obviously, if Micah Parsons is not there, you're not closer to that goal, or at least seemingly because of the talent that he has. Also, we talk about Jerry Jones' potential ultimate goal, which is to be relevant. And Micah Parsons in his podcast is putting out headlines every single week, so it doesn't matter which way you slice it. I guess he is getting you closer to your goal if you're the Dallas Cowboys. I just do wonder if because of those contracts, because of Dak, because of CD, because of what Micah's going to command and what he's earned, if you're going to be able to field the roster that you need to because of the financial puzzle that you're in, because those talented guys that you've paid, that they deserve to be paid, if you're going to be able to field the team that you need to actually compete for a Super Bowl.
It almost feels like the Dallas Cowboys are what the inept teams should dream of being, and it doesn't feel like they should dream of being what they are. What do I mean by that? If you're the New York Jets, if you're the Chicago Bears recently, and you're just good every year. The Cowboys are good every year. Even this year, as bad as it's been at times, all of the injuries, they're going to end up being not good, but not embarrassing. I mean, they're 6-8. If they get 7 or 8 wins somehow, some way on the season, it's not a great season, but it's better than a typical Jets season. They're fine. They're good. They're always kind of competitive if they're healthy. I just don't know how all of their moves get them to a place of actually competing for a championship. It's almost like there's some level of set it and forget it with Jerry Jones. I set it up. Dak's there, CD's there. I'm going to sign Micah. We're good to go. I know we're going to be competitive. We're going to keep maybe keep Mike McCarthy. He's never going to be an embarrassment. We're never going to have to fire him in season. He's always going to hover, if healthy, around 10 or more wins. We're just going to have a set it and forget it. And, we can worry about other things. The thing is, these are the Dallas Cowboys. Right? It's almost as if, CC, I'm sure you played for owners in the NFL that had other businesses, and it's like, okay, cool. Like, let me set the football stuff up, and let me worry about my other businesses. But this is the business for the Dallas Cowboys. Smalls talks about it all the time. Like, the in the spotlight, in the public eye, always relevant is the business. I just don't know what they're trying to accomplish. If they were any other team, the set it and forget it, good. But they're them. I don't know what they're trying to do here.
Yeah, I don't know what they're trying to do either. I don't know the method to the madness, and it's hard to parse through the comments that Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones make publicly because a lot of it can be construed as a negotiating tactic. So I just don't know if I could take anything that they say at face value, but the reality is that I think they'd be hard-pressed to find a better coach than Mike McCarthy moving forward. They'd be hard-pressed to be able to replace Micah Parsons no matter how many draft picks you get in return for trading him. So it just doesn't seem like it makes sense for the organization to part ways with either one of those key people because I do think they're more part of the solution than they are the problems that the Dallas Cowboys are dealing with.
When it comes to Mike McCarthy, when the organization allows him to go into a season as a lame duck and there's that gray area of belief from the top down, how much does that permeate into the locker room? And if they were to re-sign him, to extend him, is that something that you can come back from?
Can the Cowboys locker room come back from?
I wonder, because we always talk about the fact that Jerry Jones and the organization has basically hampered Mike McCarthy's ability to lead.
Yes.
And taken away some of his power.
Because they've hedged on their head coach.
Exactly.
They basically said, we are not sure about him moving forward. And if the organization is just taking that stance, then how could the players not question whether or not Mike McCarthy is going to routinely put them in positions where they can be successful?
Correct. So then if they decide we're going to stick with Mike McCarthy, is that something that just washes away as far as the locker room's concerned? Or is that something that once it's there, it's a little bit of a stain and it's hard to fully come back from?
Well, Jerry Jones did that once upon a time with Jason Garrett, and Jason Garrett did get an extension the following year after being a lame duck, and the team was able to have a playoff appearance and a playoff win, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not as if the team can't recover, but it's not about them just being able to recover. It's about this organization being able to take the next step. It's not just about the Cowboys getting back to the playoffs. That's not why you pay a quarterback $60 million a year. That's not why you pay a wide receiver $34 million a year. Mm-hmm. You're paying those guys because you think this team is capable of getting to a championship, and they're a big part of how you do it. And so for me, I think it's too many distractions, too many things that undermine what should be the agenda for everyone within the organization, which is trying to do everything they can to get back to the championship rounds. And so that's the problem that I have with how Jerry and Stephen Jones have been operating. It's because all of the headlines that they create with what they say end up detracting away from the attention and the focus on what should be the goal of the team, which is winning a championship.
So I think that I would be really impressed if the Dallas Cowboys made the decision to say no to Micah Parsons on the contract extension and had the guts to trade him, not because he's not good, but because that would actually set up an organizational culture. The problem is they have countered that in the past. What do I mean? I think the greatest of organizations in sports and in business have the ability to say no. Like, no, I'm sorry, we're not going to extend you. No, I'm sorry, we're not going to give you this. Look at your team, one of your teams, CC, the Baltimore Ravens yesterday. Right? Deontay Johnson. Sorry, I know we traded for you. Like, no, we're not going to continue this. Smalls is St. Louis Cardinals, one of the greatest organizations in all of sports, has the ability to say, no, Albert Pujols, I understand how great you are. You're an icon. You're forever a Cardinal. But no, we're not going to give you this contract. And they won after that. Oh, by the way, right? I think
no,
Dallas... What?
They didn't win after that.
Well, they won games. They didn't win...
They didn't win a World Series after that. Neither party has won.
No, but they didn't win a World Series after Pujols was gone.
They went to 1-13. The Big Papi single-handedly destroyed them.
Okay, I apologize, but you get the point. They
Sorry, just had
they
to
weren't an
correct.
embarrassed. No, they weren't an embarrassment after that,
No,
right?
no.
The Dallas Cowboys haven't gotten back to a Super Bowl. My point is, they should have said no all along. They had a good run with this group. They weren't sure if they were going to continue them. They should have said no to the Dak contract extension. They should have said no to the CeeDee Lamb contract extension. They already said no to McCarthy. They're kind of right now maybe borderline saying no to Micah Parsons. If I told you every single one of those men had their contract expiring after this season, I bet you would feel better about the Cowboys moving forward than you do right now with these latest Micah Parsons comments and Stephen Jones comments. If Dak Prescott was a free agent and CeeDee Lamb was a free agent and Micah Parsons was going to become a free agent and Mike McCarthy was not there, I think you'd feel better about the direction of the franchise.
But you said that the ability to say no might put them in a better position as far as the culture is concerned. Removing Micah Parsons from the equation, what does that do for your culture? How is that a culture shifter?
Yeah, I'll tell you. If you don't outperform your contract, you're not going to have a contract. That's the great organization. I mean, that's the way the Steelers are. That's the way the Patriots are or were. That's the way the Ravens have been. If you don't outperform the contract, you're not going to get another.
But Micah Parsons has outperformed his contract.
Yes,
He's on
Micah
a rookie.
Movie camera, what's up? Blue and Silver Nation? Today we're talking about a name that makes every Cowboys fan's heart beat a little faster, Micah Parsons. If you've heard rumors flying around that he might be traded this offseason, take a deep breath, but hang tight, because there's a lot we need to break down and understand about what's really happening behind the scenes. 3 o'clock in under a minute, I'll tell you all about Jerry Jones' clear stance and what it means for Parsons' future and the Cowboys. But first, let's rewind for a second. Last weekend, a somewhat strange comment from COO Stephen Jones raised a few eyebrows. It seemed to suggest that Micah Parsons' future with the team was up in the air, which blew up social media with speculation about a potential trade. Fired, here's the bombshell. This past Tuesday, Cowboys owner and GM Jerry Jones set the record straight during his weekly appearance on Shan and RJ on 105.3 The Fan. According to Jerry, there has never been a single discussion within the organization about trading Parsons. In his own words, that subject has never even been uttered here. Flex biceps, let's be real, Cowboys fans, Micah Parsons is a generational player. He changes the game every time he steps on the field and has already proven to be a cornerstone of this defense. Even after missing a few games in 2024 due to injury, Parsons is on track for yet another elite season, 32 tackles, 8.5 sacks, and a forced fumble so far. And here's the kicker. If he manages at least 1.5 more sacks in the final 3 games, he'll join an elite group, only the 5th player in NFL history to record double-digit sacks in each of his first 4 seasons. That's superstar stuff. American football, what's next? On Sunday Night Football, the Cowboys will take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at AT&T Stadium. With Parsons healthy and locked in, this defense has everything it needs to cause problems and, hopefully, silence those who still doubt this team's strength as we hit the final stretch of the season. Speech balloon now, I want to hear from you, Cowboys fans. With all this buzz, do you think the Cowboys should keep building their defense around Micah Parsons? Or is there something happening behind the scenes we don't know yet? Is Jerry Jones' confidence the real deal, or just typical front office talk? Megaphone, drop your thoughts in the comments below, share this video with your fellow fans, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the latest Cowboys updates. Let's stick together, support the team through this crucial stretch, and cheer for Parsons to keep making history in our jersey. American football, go Cowboys! See you in the next video. Until then,